Trust is a dangerous thing in war. Usually you trust your armor, you trust your gunner, you trust the man next to you, but above all, you trust the paper in your hands. Imagine you are a German Panzer commander. You are lost behind enemy lines. Your radio is jammed. Your fuel is low. You are navigating a 45-ton steel beast through the bocage, the hedgerows of Normandy. You find a map, not just any map. It is a captured American tactical map. It is pristine, it is detailed, it is beautiful. It shows a shortcut. According to this paper, there is a hard-packed secondary road cutting through the forest that will lead you safely to the flank of the American Third Army. It is the lifeline you prayed for. You give the order. Driver, hard right, follow the service road. The column of tanks turns. The engines roar. You feel relief. You are outsmarting the Americans using their own intelligence. But 500 meters later, the ground changes. The hard-packed road beneath your tracks begins to liquefy. It isn't gravel, it isn't dirt. It is a peat bog, a swamp. You scream for the driver to reverse. The gears grind. The tracks spin helplessly, digging their own graves. The 45-ton Panther sinks to its chassis. Then the tank behind you gets stuck. And the one behind him. You are trapped, a sitting duck in a sea of mud. And then, you hear it. The terrifying scream of a P-47 Thunderbolt diving from the clouds. As the cockpit burns around you, you look at that map one last time. The lines are perfect. The grid is accurate. But it lied to you. You didn't die because of a bad engine or a bad shell. You died because of a piece of paper. Welcome to World War II Mind Games. Today, we are looking at the silent killer of the Second World War. Not a bomb, not a bullet, but a poisoned map. This is the story of how U.S. intelligence weaponized geography itself, turning the landscape into a trap that swallowed entire German divisions. To understand this trap, we must first understand the German military mind. The Wehrmacht was the most efficient fighting force in history because they worshiped precision. Blitzkrieg, lightning war, was not just about driving fast, it was about knowing exactly where you were going. A German officer was trained to trust data. If a map said there was a bridge, there was a bridge. If it said the gradient was 5%, it was 5%. By 1944, however, the Germans had a problem. They were retreating. They were fighting on foreign soil, France, Belgium, Italy. They didn't have updated maps. They were relying on old French surveys from the 1920s or whatever they could capture from the Allies. The Americans knew this. The U.S. Army Map Service, AMS, and the OSS Office of Strategic Services realized they controlled a monopoly on information. The Allies had air superiority. They had reconnaissance planes taking thousands of photos daily. They knew the terrain better than the Germans did. This created a unique opportunity for a cartographic attack. The logic was devious. If you shoot a German soldier, you kill one man. But if you give a German commander a bad map, you can kill a whole battalion. But you cannot just draw a fake map with crayons. A German general is an expert. If the map looks fake, he burns it. If the font is wrong, he suspects it. If the paper feels too new, he ignores it. To fool an expert, the lie has to be perfect. It has to be a work of art. Let's deconstruct the engineering of a lie. How do you print a map that kills? It started in Washington, D.C. and London, inside the top-secret printing presses of the Army Map Service. 1. The golden paper, the texture of truth. The first challenge was physical. American paper felt different from German paper. If the OSS planted a map, it had to feel like a legitimate American map that had been captured. It needed the right weight, the right gloss. They even simulated wear and tear. Intelligence officers would fold and unfold these maps hundreds of times, rub them with dirt, and leave them in sunlight to yellow the edges. 2. The cartographic shift, the subtle distortion. This is where the genius lies. They didn't make up a fantasy land. They took real, accurate aerial reconnaissance maps and changed just one thing. They called it the cartographic shift. They would take an impassable feature, a marsh, a steep ravine, or a dense forest, and subtly alter the symbology. A dashed line meaning footpath became a solid line, meaning road suitable for heavy vehicles. Or they would shift a bridge location by 500 meters, just enough to lead a convoy into a dead end, but close enough to reality that the navigator wouldn't notice until it was too late. 3. The ghost distribution, the delivery. You can't just mail these to Hitler. The delivery system was as complex as the printing. The Allies used a technique called the honeypot. They would deliberately leave a damaged jeep or a command car abandoned in no man's land, the area between the front lines. Inside the jeep, they would leave a dead American soldier or a cadaver dressed as one, a pouch of real letters, some real cigarettes, and the map. It relied on the treasure hunter psychology. When a German patrol found this, they felt they had struck gold. Look, we found the Americans' own tactical plans. Because they stole it, they trusted it. It's human nature. We trust secrets we steal more than information we are given. The poison map didn't attack the tank. It attacked the commander's ego. This is a concept in psychology called confirmation bias. A desperate German commander looks at the map. He needs a road to exist. He needs an escape route. When the map shows him exactly what he wants to see, his brain shuts down critical thinking. He ignores the mud on the tracks. He ignores the weird color of the vegetation. He trusts the authoritative, official-looking document in his hand. Here is a rare fact. The OSS didn't just target geography. They targeted time. In some operations, they printed maps that were too accurate. They would mark American fuel depots or ammunition dumps on the map. The Germans would plan an attack to capture these supplies. But the map was dated falsely. The depot had been moved 3 days ago. The Germans would launch a massive offensive to capture an empty field. They wasted fuel they didn't have to capture fuel that didn't exist. It was a mind game of exhaustion. By the time the Germans realized the map was a trap, they had burned their most precious resource, time. And in 1944, with the Russian steamroller coming from the east and the Americans from the west, time was the one thing Germany could not afford to lose. Let's look at a specific reconstruction of how this played out in the chaotic retreat from France. A German Panzer division is retreating towards the Seine River. The bridges are blown. They are desperate. A scout car returns with a captured map found in a wrecked U.S. Jeep. The map shows a ford, a shallow crossing point, hidden deep in the forest. It's labeled low water, hard bottom. The German colonel looks at his topographic charts. His old French maps show a swamp there. But this new American map, surely the Americans have surveyed it recently? Surely they know better. He makes the choice. He chooses the new data over the old reality. The column enters the forest. The trees provide cover from the aircraft. They feel safe. They reach the ford. The lead Tiger tank rolls into the water. It holds for a second. Then the nose dips. The river bottom isn't rock. It's silt. Deep, soft silt. The Tiger stalls. The convoy stops. They are bunched up, bumper to bumper, on a narrow dirt track, boxed in by trees. This is the choke point. Suddenly, flares pop overhead. The coordinates of this fake ford were already pre-registered by American artillery. It wasn't a crossing point. It was a kill zone. 155mm long Tom artillery shells begin to rain down. Then come the P-47s with rockets. The Germans can't turn around. They can't move forward. They are trapped in a metal coffin of their own making. This tactic contributed to the destruction of entire convoys in the Falaise pocket. The roads that promised safety became the highways of death. The poison map teaches us a terrifying lesson about warfare. The most dangerous weapon isn't the one that destroys you. It's the one that misleads you. In World War II, it was paper and ink. Today, the battlefield has changed, but the tactic hasn't. Think about GPS spoofing. Think about cyber warfare where hackers alter the coordinates of a ship or change the target data of a drone. It is the same cartographic lie, just digitized. We are all navigating through a world of data. We trust the blue line on Google Maps. We trust the coordinates on our screens. But history whispers a warning. Just because the map is beautiful doesn't mean it's true. So here is a question for you. In the age of AI and deepfakes, if your GPS told you to turn right into a dark alley to save time, Would you do it? Or would you trust your eyes? Tell me in the comments below. If you enjoyed deconstructing this analog hack, make sure to subscribe to World War II Survival. Next week, we analyze the sound that killed. Stay skeptical and check your terrain.